I hear the call of the stars.
G'day everyone, Duckville here. We're going to have a look at a replay here between a Protoss and a Terran. Now, the Terran, as we'll see just up here, we'll just jump up to the top right hand side of xel'naga. We'll have a look. This is JinroMvP. So for those of you who may have been searching for JinroMvP, I'm sorry, this isn't searching for Jinro, my bad. This isn't actually the real Jinro, but he is certainly a very decent player on the team MVP. I think he's on like the B team or something like that. And he's just doing a bit of laddering here today, and he has run into this particular red Protoss down here. For those of you who have been keeping up with GSL and GSTL in particular, who have watched the NS Hoso versus FOU games, you will have seen this particular Protoss, NS Hoso Sage, who went to town on the FOU clan, and in fact did a fantastic job against some of their very good players, including one of probably my favorite Terran, SC FOU. So he's got a very, very good player, and especially Artosis is a big fan. But what we'll just see before we get too far into the histories and that sort of thing, he sent a probe up straight away up here and has actually built a proxy gateway just up the top here at the natural of Jinro. We'll be calling him Jinro, but obviously, you know, it's a bit worrisome when you say that it's Jinro and it's actually not. But and then he actually sent this probe down. He sent it way back down here to actually make like he was actually just setting up a normal scouting probe. Now we do see the Jinro was well aware of that and has of course put down the racks. He's got a standard sort of wall off here that the Terrans love to do. And this probe is going to have a few shots at this supply depot to see if he can get it down, because of course there probably will be one or two zealots just popping out of this gateway to put some pressure on, of course, until Jinro is well prepared for this. Obviously he's walked in, this SCV has come into the base and has seen nothing in here apart from that assimilator. And I tell you what, you can't actually make units out of these assimilators unless they're like some crazy gas bomb or something like that. But either way, he will know that there is something fishy going on, has no way to scout out just yet because these SCVs are sort of sitting here a little bit preoccupied with repairing this supply depot. But up comes the first zealot. He's probably not going to use this just for the moment. I wouldn't think so. He's not going to, no, just not for the moment. There's not really enough there to actually put any damage on. Perhaps if he gets another zealot out, maybe he can actually try and do a little bit of damage here. But generally, of course, you don't actually see Protoss doing this sort of proxy stuff and having it actually destroy the Terran unless they haven't walled off. But of course, with that wall off, Jinro is in an easy position to fend off this attack if he needs to. And it looks as if it's not actually going to be too much coming out of here. We only have the one zealot out on the map at the moment, and it looks as if a bunker is going up for Jinro, so he's definitely going to be prepared for the moment. He does have a lot of SCVs going to work on these minerals, so he's doing a good job keeping up with his economy. Interestingly, Sage has still kept the probes producing at home, so he's not actually going to go all crazy with this. He does have just that one zealot in production at the moment. There is one here which is going to pop out in just a moment and join his brother on the field. Now he has had a quick look up the ramp, sees that there's one bunker there, so this is very much going to be well protected here for Jinro, so there's definitely no problem of him actually losing the game from this. But we do see that the cybernetics core is getting warp gate tech out. This replay, just I forgot to mention, is actually from the 1.3.2 patch. This is just before the changes to warp gate, before the changes to pylons, Thors, ghosts, and bunkers themselves. So do keep that in mind when we are having a look, especially at the pylon power radius. Some of you may have been like, whoa, holy crap, that is a really big pylon radius. It is actually from a slightly older patch. This was all that could be found of the magical Protoss Sage. I had to have a quick look on the interwebs and then have a quick check on Twitter, and the fantastic Mr. Scientist MJ on Twitter was able to find this particular replay. So this is obviously why it's a bit of an older one, because there isn't too much of the pro gamers out there. They love to sort of keep to themselves, especially when it is game time and they have lots of builds and that sort of thing that they're trying out. So it's just a little bit of an older one, so do be aware of that. Now we do have 3 extra gates here done for Sage, so he's going to be well on the way to some sort of 4 gate. So of course this is obviously before the patch where the 4 gate became a little bit harder to do in terms of the timing, because, you know, the Terrans, the Zergs, and of course if you're in a PvP, it becomes a lot harder to do the 4 gate as successfully as it previously was in this timing. But with a Stalker out, he does have that one Stalker. It looks as if we're going to have an expansion here from Sage. He's going to be not really committing too hard to this push. He does have a little bit of a supply deficit just at the moment to Jinro, so he's going to be getting that Nexus out, just using this as just a little bit of a pressure sort of move, where he's going to be sitting out here saying, hey buddy, I'm at your front door, do not actually try and go outside to get some milk because, you know, I've got you covered. So Jinro is just going to sit here for the moment, keep producing those SCVs. He's doing a good job at that. We do have double command centers, orbital commands in fact here for the moment, so he's not going to be behind in any way in terms of the worker count. Now we do see that Sage is going to try and have a quick look up the ramp, seeing a very deadly sort of defense here. 3 bunkers positioned in beautiful spots. He's got the ramp covered by these 2, and then the third one there if need be, if any more units need to jump in. But he does have a couple of sentries, which could prove quite useful if he tries to either block off the SCVs from repairing the bunkers, or perhaps if he tries to actually just keep a very, very light contain going with a few force fields on the ramp to stop the Terran from coming outside. Now, we do see that the Nexus is now done at the natural expansion. Beautiful transfer of those probes going along. An observer will be popping out to have a quick look around the map and see what is happening for Jinro, and obviously then we will see that Sage is able to respond. Now, as I was mentioning in the GSTL, Sage cleaning up Team Foyu, and was just showing that why he is the captain of the NS Hoso team. He's a very, very clever player. We saw a lot of scouting. That's one thing that Artosis and Tasteless, but especially Artosis, he was gushing at the mouth with his love for this Protoss. So he does some very, very good scouting. That's why he popped those units just up the ramp to see what was there, and then brought them back. You always want to keep an eye on what the Terran is up to when we are doing this sort of this light contain, because one thing that can happen, as we'll probably see here, 2 medevacs are about to pop out for Jinro, so he's going to use those probably to try and do a drop. That is really one of the only things that the Terran could do in this situation to make sure that they can get out of the base. In fact, scanning and taking down that observer, making sure that there is no way that Sage can actually see what is going on. Probably going to pop all these units into the medevacs. There we go, 2 of them coming along. So is Sage aware of this? For the moment he's not, although there it is, a second observer popping out with his brilliant scouting, just actually seeing that there's a little bit of an elevator going down to the low ground. With these units popping out, he definitely will be able to run across to the low ground and take that out. But what does Jinro know? He knows that there was the force field at the ramp. I actually heard that myself, and this means that he can run around the map and actually have a look at what's going on, perhaps apply some pressure and put everything back in the court of Sage. So we'll see what happens. He's going to run down here with this Marine Marauder. Does have stim, he does have concussive shells, yes he does. No combat shields just for the moment, but these 2 medevacs will supply some nice healing for all of these units. A Guardian Shield going up, he may try and capture some of these units. Doesn't actually get to, but it's definitely a great position at the moment for Sage, having gotten this natural expansion up. His economy is in a fantastic position. As we can see, he's got 45 probes to the 42 SCVs, so despite having that double orbital command inside his base, he is actually still a little bit behind on the probes, so he's had to spend a little bit more and actually getting some of these various things up. Beautiful use of a Zealot there to actually hold up the command center from landing, and now that that is finally done, we'll probably see the SCVs transfer over, and we'll see the economy kick in a little bit more for JinroMvP. So now that the contain is over, you've got to think about what you're going to do next, and it looks as if Sage is going to perhaps look to take maybe this third expansion. I'm not actually sure if that's the wisest idea. Generally, when you have a Terran that's been sort of cramped up in their base that whole time, you actually do see them sort of slap down a lot of racks, as we've got 4 here, the reactor starport and the factory, and a very quick Ghost Academy there off the essentially 2 base, or 1.5 base in fact, because he only just got this base up now. But he's definitely may try and do some sort of push once the combat shields are up, if he is going to get them. I'm not sure if he is going for them just yet. No, not just yet, but he is certainly still pumping out a lot of units. We do have a couple of ghosts on the way, which will certainly help out with dealing with this very sentry-centric force. As we can see here, there are a total of 9 sentries here for Sage, so he's definitely in a position to defend himself for the moment, but we'll see what happens. We do have a Colossus on the field, along with the extended thermal lance just about done. A couple more Colossus on the way. They are queuing up like they're at McDonald's, trying to get a few Happy Meals, and they'll be out shortly with those. The +1 to weapons is on the way as well, and we do see that Sage is done. As you can see here, the saturation is a little bit high on this particular expansion, and you can't really transfer them down to the natural either, because this one is all ready to go. And in fact, there we go, it is a third, so this is a reasonably good third to take. Of course, he is in a great position to take that, with the Observer now scouting out that these units are going to move out. There are some Vikings in this mix, so they will be able to counteract the presence of those Colossus. There's only 6 of them out for the moment, so it's not going to be a complete detriment to those Colossus just for the moment, but they certainly will be something to contend with if he is not careful. And as we can see, the Marines still don't actually have combat shield. I'm not sure if that's part of his particular style or if that's just something he's forgotten. But a great spread here on the units. The EMPs, if they do come, will not deal with every single sentry. In fact, we did see a group off to the side just get the EMP. Now actually sectioning off these Terran units. This is a fantastic job by Sage. He is going to lose all of the Colossus. He's lost, I think he had 3 out in total. He's now lost that last one. There is one off to the side, but the damage was definitely done there by Sage. He cordoned off all of those units with some force fields. In fact, more force fields coming off here with not enough done by the EMP, and now just blasting through all of those Terran units, and especially with that +1 weapons done, the Guardian Shield, and that one Colossus just at the back. Brilliant job by Sage to actually hold that attack for the moment, and now with this third base up, he is going to be in an absolutely awesome position. He's currently a little bit behind on the supply, but he does have great map presence. As we have a look at his vision, he's got a pylon over here to spot drops, a pylon up here to cover the backdoor part of the third expansion, as you can see, which is a very annoying thing to deal with, I can tell you that. And with this Observer roaming around us, we can see he's going to be able to just check out what is happening around the map. And as we can see, in fact, from his vision, we do see that there is an attack coming down to the third base. This Nexus could be not very longer awake, but he is going to focus that down. There it goes. Takes out the Nexus. Brilliant little attack there. He is probably going to be able to get away with most of these forces. The Zelts do not have charge just yet, and there is only that one Colossus, so he hasn't actually done too much in terms of the Colossus count. He does have Blink on those Stalkers, so they'll be able to do a lot of damage. An EMP comes off on half of those Stalkers, but it looks as if the units of Sage are going to have to be a little bit careful here with the Vikings in the sky. The Colossus isn't going to last too long, but the Viking gets focused down. The Marauders and Marines are going to get burnt up there with a lot of Stalkers in this mix. He actually did a great job of deflecting that attack again, and as you can see, another 2 Colossus pop out, a few more Stalkers, and the probes transferring over to the third, or to actually they're just long distance mining, aren't they? They had to go back to the natural to actually take that one, and it looks as if Jinro may be aware that he is behind, especially considering he will know that this Nexus will get back up pretty quick, and he is going to have to try and take some position to actually get himself back into the game, especially with these all of these Colossus out here. We do have a blink by those Stalkers. They're going to jump up there, take a few shots at the command center, but that is not going to be too much of a worry for Jinro just at the moment. He's going to bring it back. He actually does have a lot of SCVs camping out here at the mineral line, along with a few still at the main, so he's going to have a little bit to deal with there. Not really sure what Sage was going on about here, but perhaps he's just a little bit annoyed that he hasn't won the game yet, but either way, he's a very, very clever player, and we'll see what his next move is. He does have this Nexus just about to come online now. +1 to armor is just about done. A little bit surprising to see that a player of his caliber goes for the weapons first. Normally you don't actually see weapons first, because generally grabbing armor is actually a better idea against the Terran, but it looks as if he's doing a fantastic job with those force fields to hold off the Terran off to the side while he takes some shots at this planetary. It's probably not going to go down because there are way too many SCVs sitting on here dealing with that planetary, but now the Terran comes in from the side. A stim goes off a couple of force fields as well to segregate the units, and the Colossus sitting at the back are going to be way too powerful here for Jinro to deal with. The Stalkers actually dealt with those Vikings in a brilliant fashion. They're taking all of those Vikings out, and now the Colossus are free to go to town on this planetary fortress. It obviously is outmatched by the range of the Colossus. As you can see here, with their extended thermal lance, they do have that incredibly huge range, but now one Viking is going to come off to the side here. Going to need to be careful with those Stalkers. Of course, the planetary does a lot of damage and does splash damage, so you have to be very careful with your units and how you use them. And now we do see that Jinro is just trying to get that MMM mixture back up and running here. He has a really low count of medevacs. In fact, where are all those medevacs? He had to switch over, of course, because of the Colossus out on the field, and with his very low income, considering he's effectively on just these sort of 2 bases for the moment. He's had to cut the medevac production, which means that you have to kind of switch into the Marauders a little bit more, which actually works into the favor of the Protoss. So this is working quite nicely here for Sage. We'll see if he's got something else up his sleeve. He is going to take this gold, which is going to mean he's in an even better position, and he's going to just chuck on a few more gateways here. 3 more gateways along with those Colossus pumping out is going to mean a total of the 6 gates plus the Colossus. This is going to be a huge. In fact, there's 8 gates. There's a couple down here at the natural expansion, and we do see that the Colossus have moved out to try and take advantage of their range. The Marauders are going to work on those Stalkers, but there is just so much DPS here from the army of Sage. He does a great job of fending all of that off, and now he's going to be in a terrible position, losing a couple of Vikings there, and the Colossus are just going to be free to walk around for the moment here. These guys having a little bit of a chat. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. I think they're just discussing the actual gameplay, perhaps. I don't know, someone else will have to have a quick look, but this gold is now up and running. Sage is in a very commanding position here. Interesting to see he hasn't switched some of those probes onto the gold, but in fact, oh, hello, we actually have some mana Nexi going up. I don't know if they're Nexi or Nexuses or something like that, but either way, he's going to put these down. Can Jinro actually see this? I'm not actually sure. There he goes. He can see 2 of them. Another one going up just to the side there. We have 4 mana Nexus up. Just exercising just a little bit of, mana there with putting down some Nexi. Another one going down as well. He is definitely going to lose this planetary. A counter-attack commences down to the side from Jinro. He's not really going to get too much done, I don't think. Given the position that he's in, he's going to lose his own base, and a base race against a hugely maxed out Protoss is probably not going to go well, especially when you're currently sitting there with only those Marauders in red, no medevacs to heal. So this is probably going to be the end in just a moment for Jinro. He's trying to run away with all these forces. That Ghost is going to go down here, doing a bit of a hit and run. This is like watching some GTA or something like that. He's going to take down this Nexus, and that is going to be it. And I would assume that that will probably be the end of Jinro in just a moment. As we can see here, these SCVs long distance mining down towards that gold. Interestingly now, oh, there you go. In fact, that is the end. Jinro has left the game, I believe. Oh, that's right. This is the patch where it doesn't actually say where they've left the game in replays for some weird reason. But that was it, and that was a brilliant play there by by Sage to take an early sort of advantage in a way by putting a lot of pressure on and then holding in his opponent with the force fields at the ramp, forcing the medevacs to come out and try and go around the long way, and then just consolidating his lead from there. So if you haven't already, make sure you go and watch the GSTL VODs of NS Hoso versus Foyu, the clan Foyu, and have a look at Sage playing against some of those brilliant players that are on the Foyu team, and you'll see that this kid is definitely one to contend with. We should see him in the higher echelons of GSL very soon. Cheers.